Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is Linda Heathcott. And Linda is the President and CEO of Spruce Meadows. And I don't know how many of you have or haven't been down to Spruce Meadows, but it is one of those, sadly, and let's hope to change it today, but best-kept secrets in Calgary. Spruce Meadows is an incredible example of a vision that was really born from an empty piece of dirt into a truly world-class equestrian facility. It is a dream that was created by the Southern family. Marg is here with us today as well. And Linda's going to tell us about that journey that started Spruce Meadows from its original idea, the germination, and moving it over into what it is today, an incredible jewel and gem in the city, a part of our city that has people from all around the world coming every year. And I would say that not enough Calgarians have been there, not enough Calgarians know about it, not enough Calgarians have experienced it. So in order to help us get better acquainted with Spruce Meadows, please join me in welcoming Linda Heathcott.
Thanks, Adam. Good morning. Is it on? Yeah. Well, I'm a little bit taken aback because our first two speakers are amazing people. But, and I know that we're joined, my mother and I are joined with this group because they're not only if believers, but they're also builders. And I like to think about Spruce Meadows a bit the same way. My mother and father started Spruce Meadows, and they bought the land in 1971. And it's really difficult. I'm the daughter, and so, if you're in a business meeting, you don't say, well, Mom, what do you think of this? So for our speech, I'm just going to, and I usually call them Mr. and Mrs. Southern, which is also a little bit strange. So I'm just going to term them the builders for what I'd like to talk about Spruce Meadows. So when we started the venue, I'm not as good as everybody else, so I just have a few notes. Our builders decided that what they needed to do was create a unique environment. And in that unique environment, what was the center? The center was the horse. So my parents, the builders, purchased this piece of land in 1971. And they said in their minds, what if we create one of the best show jumping venues in the world? Well, I have to say, that's what it looks like now. So how did we get there? How did they get that far along from this? Well, they created 4 fundamental tenets. One was they obviously wanted to create the facility, the venue. They wanted to host top tournaments, show jumping events. And I think originally it was both national, but also for these builders, they really wanted to be international. They wanted to have a training facility for athletes and also a breeding and training facility for horses. So we're off. But there were a huge amount of challenges. And, it's one thing to have this vision, but you have to remember at that time, in 1971, there were 135,000 people in Calgary. It was a very, very small city, town. And this land was, would have been 45 minutes out of downtown Calgary, 40 minutes. Well, now it takes an hour, but, that's traffic. But so, you were really in the middle of nowhere. I mean, that's true. We were just in the middle of nowhere. And so, honestly, who in their right mind would have thought of this? Just saying. But I'll give you a little bit of background. My sister and I, I'm 6 years younger than my sister. Don't tell her I said that. But we used to travel a lot to compete. And mostly we had to travel to the East Coast to compete in show jumping, because Calgary was really focused on Western riding and rodeo. And one of the reasons why they wanted to build this facility was because they wanted to give back to the city, and they wanted to have this venue for people in Western Canada and around the world and in Canada to be able to compete and hone their skills to be successful on the world stage. So one of the challenges was, first of all, we were out in the middle of nowhere and nestled in the foothills. And then there was a societal connotation to the sport of show jumping. And one of the things that they felt was very important was to make sure that the sport was represented on the sports page, not on the societal page. And so these builders, together, we developed, obviously, the logo, which we saw from the start. And there's the 5 jumping horses. So in any type of agriculture, you typically have a brand, meaning a hot brand for cattle or for horses. But we also needed a logo to start off. And so I'm going to come back to this logo in a few minutes, because it's quite important. So as we built this facility, that has turned out like this, we started out right away with the riding hall, which is right in the center, and the 2 stables. And it was opened in 1975. It was a grand building and 2 stables and 4 barns, stables to host horses if they came to a tournament. The other thing that they did was very important. Our sport is founded on jumping on grass. That's the tradition of our sport. And we built 3 main grass rings. And now we have 7 grass rings that we compete on. And it really is the tradition of our sport, and very important to keep with that tradition for us, because you see many other venues have gone to what we call all-weather footing. And I think it's very important that we've always kept that. But also, it creates a green-like space, a park-like setting for Spruce Meadows, which is very important coming forward. In addition to having the vision of this, we created what's called the benefits loop. So very important. In order to have athletes want to leave their home, drive across Canada or across the United States, 4,000 miles, to come to Calgary, in the middle of the foothills, really nothing there, how are we going to do that? Well, one of the main things to do that, because you have to accept your location. I mean, you know, we all come to Calgary for the weather, right? That's why we're all here. But how do we get that? Well, let's start with the athletes, because that was quite key and very important. So what we did is we engaged all of these stakeholders, focused on all of these stakeholders, but we said, okay, let's focus on the athletes. So the builders said, we need to try and promote the sport, not only from the societal, but to front page sports. How are we going to do that? We're going to rival other front page sports. We're going to bring the sponsors together and engage them so that we can offer prize money and be competitive, not competitive against other sports, but competitive for these athletes. So Spruce Meadows was the original venue that raised sponsor-funded prize money for our sport of show jumping. In 1975, we offered $175,000 through the support of our corporate sponsors. Still today, we offer some of the top prize money in the world. So we were off. Now, the athletes were interested and intrigued, and they would come once, but how do you keep them? How do you keep them coming year after year? Well, you focus on the quality of the venue. You make sure that the venue is of the highest quality, so that when they're here, that they can compete to the best of their ability. Then what we did is we said, okay, how are we going to engage our sponsors, have our athletes, and have support from the community? Well, that's through our fans and our public. So since the day one at Spruce Meadows is open 365 days a year for people to come and enjoy. You can see people walk in no matter what. The only time we actually close is Halloween night, because there's some trickery going on out there. But our fan base has been very, very important. So as well, it's a very nominal cost, $5 for somebody to come to Spruce Meadows at one of our tournaments. Now, that has been the same for 36 years, and it's together with our corporate sponsors that we've been able to offer that. I keep saying to the builders that this really isn't a very good economic model, but it is a fantastic philanthropic model. And it is something that Mr. and Mrs. Southern have given to Calgary to be able for people to enjoy. And it's interesting, you know, I have spoken at women's lunches and other lunches, and I have a lot of, my mother and I have a lot of women that come up to us and say, you know, I wasn't really a fan of show jumping, but it was the only place that I could go that I could afford. I was a single mother, and we could come to Spruce Meadows, we could enjoy the day, we could you know, watch the prairie dogs, we could watch the show jumping, we could bring our own lunches and be a part of the venue. And so now, you know, our family is a fan of show jumping, and that's very important for us, that we are a part of the community in that way. The other thing to engage the fans was that we created a school tour program. So 36 years, for 36 years, we have taken a week of our facility, and we've dedicated it to school tours. So about 5,000 school children come during the week, and we teach them about how to feed a horse, the nutrition, what the different breeds of a horse are, how to tack up a horse. We've evolved it a little bit because we also have incorporated the watershed of Spruce Meadows, because what we do is we collect all of the runoff water from the top part of the screen, and we collect it at the bottom in our ponds. And that's what we irrigate our fields with and our jumping rings with. And you'll see at the bottom, that's Radio Tower Creek wetland, which is very important for us because it is a designated reserve. And we also teach our children about the wetlands and how important they are for all of us. At the end of the day with our school children, we bring them together and we do a show jumping demonstration, which is lots of fun because we teach them how to score and they cheer. And then we say to them, okay, now you please bring your parents and your grandparents and you teach them about Spruce Meadows. And when we do our surveys, about 34% of our spectators originally came as school children to Spruce Meadows. So then, now we've engaged our fans, and we had to focus on our media right from the beginning. What we did was kind of fun. Of course, remember, 1975, a western town, very much rodeo. We had our media come, and we called it Rookie Riding, and they would come every Wednesday for about 3 months. And so they would ride, and then at the end we would have a challenge. And we did that for a number of years. Now it's not so easy because not so many people in Calgary ride or have necessarily strong ties to the horse. But at our anniversary icon or years, then we try and create that again, and the media have a lot of fun with it. So what we also did is we gave them the best seats in the house, our media, and they sit right at the front, and so they're very engaged with our sport and are able to report it. Right from the beginning, in 1975, there was a man named Johnny Esau from Wide World of Sports. Wide World of Sports. And he took an interest in Spruce Meadows, and right from 1975, there were 12 minutes of broadcasts on Spruce Meadows. And in 1988, Spruce Meadows was the host to ABC, who was the television provider for the '88 Olympics. And after that, we created our own edit suite. So we take the broadcast feed, and we package it up and send it around the world. So we would air probably over 30 hours of television, event television, to 108 countries of the world. So we've connected all of the dots. And, you know, the thing is about Spruce Meadows is, and I think somebody already said it, it has been a great journey, but most of all, it has been about the people that we've met, because they've brought everything together. So if we go back to the 5 horses, we see this, the 4 horses on either side are the fans, the media, the sponsors, and the athletes. And the center horse is really Spruce Meadows, the facility and the team that brings it all together. Spruce Meadows, we like to have a motto. Our motto really is good friendship, good commerce, and good sport. And I think that Spruce Meadows is different things to different people because, you know, when you see the jumping, and I have a bit of a sad picture because This is Hickstead and Eric Lamaze. And as many of you know, Hickstead passed away recently. But you'll see the crowd is there, and that's really Spruce Meadows in action. But we like to term Spruce Meadows as being clean, green, a little bit of Camelot, international, sport, adventure, but mostly Spruce Meadows is about basic family values. And I think that that's the most important part. Our team, if we can keep all of those stakeholders together, we believe, and they're happy, and we invest in each one of those stakeholders each year. So one time we'll invest in the fans, one time we'll invest in the media, one time we'll invest in our corporate sponsors. And as long as that we can keep them together, then we are successful as a team. And it's important for us to always go far beyond what we thought we could do and to focus on the smallest of details and to care about each of our stakeholders. That's very important. For me, we were asked to come up with a question and pose it to the audience. I think for us, the one question that we have is, I believe Spruce Meadows is a good story. It's for the people of Calgary and for Alberta and for Canada and for around the world, is how do we engage the new people of Calgary? Because remember, we were 175,000 people, and now we're over 1 million. How do we have the new Calgarians understand that Spruce Meadows is a place for them, and for them to embrace Spruce Meadows? I think that's the challenge for our team as we go forward to create that environment for Calgarians. Thank you. I have... Oh.